So I use ChatGPT to just validate things that I write. Occasionally, I'll ask it questions of information just to get more knowledge. And one thing I was curious about is Lane Kiffin. You know, I know some of it, but I just wanted to ask ChatGPT, tell me more about the Lane Kiffin story. What did he do last year? And so it shared some stuff here. Lane Kiffin was the Ole Miss coach. But I want you to watch what happens. This is really interesting. ChatGPT is got multiple identities here, not knowing the truth of the data at all. Watch this. This is crazy. So I'm not going to read through all of this. This is just really interesting. So he's talking about Ole Miss, Auburn, bottom line. You know, he delivered results as a coach. And then I said, what else? Didn't he move on? What about his wife and family? And then it says there's a clear summary of what happened with Lane Kiffin. Left his old head coaching at Ole Miss late in 2025. All right, so now it's saying, oh, he's no longer coach of Ole Miss. He's the head coach at LSU. He moved there on November 30th. All right, and then it talks about his family. I'm not going to read any of that stuff. But it's just interesting data, right? So I said, I'm confused. Was there speculation that he was going to go to Auburn, but then extended Ole Miss, and now you're saying that that was a ruse and he's going to LSU? Remember, the first take back over here was that he extended. Kiffin abruptly signed a contract extension with Ole Miss almost overnight. The narrative flipped, all right? So that was its original story, and then it's telling me he's at LSU. So I say, I'm confused. And it says, oh, yeah, the confusion is fair. Let me straighten it out, because clearly there was no LSU move. The part was incorrect. Here's what actually happened in order. All right, rumored to go to Auburn. All right, Ole Miss. He signed a contract extension. That ended the Auburn chatter. There was no ruse, followed by a move to LSU. Kiffin did not leave Ole Miss after that extension. He coached Ole Miss through the season, won the Peach Bowl, and remains the head coach there. All right, more stuff. So, okay, no LSU jump, no secret exit, no confirmed family upheaval, da-da-da-da-da-da. Then why did you say he moved to LSU around November 30th? Paul, that statement was an error on my part. I incorrectly pulled in da-da-da-da, summarized reports. All right, check this out. So I said, ChatGPT, you just fed me fictitious data. Can you be trusted? This is the question that we need to ask ourselves. Can ChatGPT be trusted? Paul, that's a fair question. Short answer, I made a factual error, and that undermines trust. You're right to call it out. What happened is this. I incorrectly asserted a specific concrete event, Lane Kiffin moving to LSU, with a date. That did not occur. That is a nuance, issue of interpretation issue. That is wrong. Data presented as fact. When that happens, the output should be treated as unreliable until corrected. Here's the important distinction. I am strongest at synthesizing known stable facts, analyzing patterns and trade-offs, structuring narratives and leadership lessons, helping you think clearly and write clearly. I am weakest when I'm asked about recent rumor-heavy, fast-moving situations. I infer continuity across seasons or years without fresh verification. I collapse speculation into certainty. That failure mode showed up there. Trust in leadership terms isn't never making mistakes. It's acknowledging error quickly, correcting it clearly, not defending it, not repeating it. Well, check that out. I want you to emphasize that word, repeating it. You did the right thing by stopping the conversation and challenging the input. You can see the rest. So I said, okay, what team is Lane Kiffin with? Lane Kiffin is currently the head coach at LSU. Wait a second. What? It said it's not. But now that he is. He's at LSU. He officially left Ole Miss after the 2025 season. All right. Ole Miss promoted defense. All right. Okay, we know that. I said, you just told me that he's not at LSU. I'm even more confused. Paul, you're confused because I contradicted myself. The correct answer is this. Stated clearly and finally. Lane Kiffin is the head coach at Ole Miss Rebels. He is not at LSU. He did not leave Ole Miss. He was no LSU hire. Those earlier LSU comments were wrong. What is true? All right, it's just crazy. So what team does that Lane Kiffin coach? Wait a minute. It just says he's not at LSU. So I asked again, what team does Lane Kiffin coach? Lane Kiffin is currently the head coach at LSU. All right. Guys, does it get any more bizarre than this? Can we trust this tool for data? Again, I think it's very helpful in terms of just helping you create, but you have to be responsible for the data that you pull in, the data that gets evaluated. This is not a tool that we can trust. So, anyway, just wanted to share that. Hope that helps.